Welcome to Sharing Point Spotlight. I'm Karen Nelson.
And I'm Michael Cirillo from the Sherwood Park Stake.
Have you ever wondered how you can reach out and help others during these lockdowns?
Or maybe you're needing help and wondered where to look.
Well, today we have the pleasure of introducing you to the JustServe specialist of the Sherwood Park Stake of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
We're super excited about this. Please welcome with us Sarah Mosaico.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, guys. Happy to be here. I love to talk about JustServe.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you like to do when you're not busy with JustServe?
Sure. Yeah, I grew up in the Calgary area, and I was really into sports, and that took me eventually down to California and Utah for school. After my mission, I guess, I served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Fiji. I met my husband, and we moved up to Edmonton so I could complete my master's program. And we've been in Sherwood Park now about 10 years. So in those 10 years, we've had 4 little boys. And so I guess you'd say when I'm not doing the JustServe thing, I'm doing the mom thing. And I also work part-time in my private practice as a speech language pathologist. So that's just a little bit about me.
Wow, so you are pretty busy. So what kind of sport did you play?
Well, I guess in high school, I did them all, except badminton. I could never really get badminton for some reason. But in college, I did a bit of track and field, and basketball was my primary sport. So
That's awesome.
That's amazing. We were talking pre-interview about Smurfs, and I'm a little bit disappointed that they're collecting Smurfs was not in this mix, but I'll get over it. Let me ask you this.
Sorry to cause disappointment here already. Jeez.
So it's not often that you find Calgarians migrating further north. What was it that led you to Sherwood Park?
Oh boy. Well, University of Alberta has the master's program for speech language pathology. And after we moved here for my school, my husband fell in love with his job in the inner city of Edmonton at the clinic he works at. And we've never left. And he's still working there since in the last decade, I guess. So yeah, and we just loved the community. We came up to Sherwood Park, and just our first day in Home Depot, we had everyone giving us advice on gardening gloves, just really friendly. So we just love the community in Edmonton area generally. So.
Well, we are so glad you're here, especially in this area. We know you are the JustServe specialist. We're curious, what is JustServe? What does it mean to be a specialist? How long have you been doing that now?
Okay, about 2.5 years. I've been working with JustServe. And basically, my role is to track down volunteer opportunities and post them on the JustServe website. I like to think of it as a buffet. I get to collect together all of the great options to present to community members. So I'm kind of like a detective, and I hunt them down in newspapers, online, and just anywhere I find them to add to the website.
So it really is. It's a community initiative, right? Like it's all about finding out. It's not a denomination specific. It's more about the community.
Exactly. Yeah, it's meant for everybody, anybody who wants to serve and anybody who needs volunteers. It's just a terrific resource for nonprofit, government, faith groups, any group who wants to know how they can help in their community.
So how does that work? How do people of other faiths, of other communities, how do they make this work with JustServe? How can they get in?
Yeah. So JustServe, it's a free website and an app that was developed. It's a wonderful platform. And I guess no metaphor is perfect, but I like to think of it as a dating app where volunteers looking to help and organizations looking for help go to find each other. So basically, if I'm, for example, I have an organization out in a town that they present an opportunity for children to come and visit the animals at the SPCA and read to them, to practice their reading, and for the animals to have companionship. Now, I mean, throwing a ball might do the same thing, but whatever, the kids are learning to read. So if they are looking for volunteers, they can go and add this and admin the page as well, all for free. It's fantastic. They can manage their volunteers, their volunteer hours. And on the other hand, you have the volunteers, and they might have different availability, different interests, and they can filter through on the website to get their perfect match of opportunity to serve in their community.
So you mentioned that there's a website. What's the website address?
Yeah, so it's justserve.org. And I'm going to try and share my screen here. All right, so JustServe.org. On this platform, you type in where you live. JustServe is throughout North America. We've got Major League Baseball teams using it. We've got the LAPD using it, in case you're like a Law and Order FBI fan on TV like I am. But also not just North America, but in Australia and the United Kingdom, it's being used. And there's so many wonderful stories about how it's bringing people together. So like I said, we have sponsoring organizations putting their needs on. We have volunteers coming to have a look. And the result is caring for others and improving the community.
Wow. So this isn't just during the pandemic. This is, or lockdown. This is something that's far reaching beyond that any organization can be involved with. All right. So you mentioned the Major League Baseball is doing projects on there. Earlier, we had kind of mentioned that this is not just for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. In fact, all organizations are participating in it. What types of projects are you seeing on there currently? Is it strictly just during lockdown type projects or pandemic type projects, or is there a broader scope?
So I'd have to say that the need for volunteers has definitely increased during the pandemic, but at the same time, the type of help needed during the pandemic has changed. And I've heard so many people say, oh, there's no volunteer opportunities right now. And that just could not be further from the truth. We've had the opportunity to think beyond traditional volunteerism in a lot of situations, but there are still so many ways to volunteer in the community. And the great thing is, JustServe filters by postal code, right? And so depending on whatever stage you're in the pandemic throughout North America or throughout the different provinces, you're going to see right now what's available. And so we've been seeing a shift towards virtual volunteerism. And there are so many interesting ways that people can get out and serve outdoors while observing health guidelines as well. So there are definitely a lot of ways to volunteer right now on JustServe for anybody, even if you're literally stuck at home. If you have access to a computer, you belong to a global community and you can help out with, for example, the United Nations has a beautiful volunteering website. You can help to transcribe ebooks and make them public to everybody. You can, me and my boys, we had fun counting iguanas for Zooniverse, which allows people to contribute to a body of scientific research here just as a global community. So there are definitely a lot of volunteer opportunities. I'd like to see more in-person opportunities starting, and there are beginning to be more in-person safe volunteer opportunities as well.
I think the piece you forgot, though, is for every iguana that you've counted, they will be showing up at your house. You didn't know you were actually adopting them. I'm kidding. That's amazing. That's a really broad scope, and I love what you're saying about.
My boys would love that. Actually, we'd love some iguanas here.
I bet. I can just see you and your husband with iguanas, on your head and all over the place under couch cushions. But I think that's tremendous because, to your point, it really broadens the scope of what we traditionally think of as service, raking somebody's lawn or mowing a lawn or, shoveling their driveway. And you're saying, no, there's essentially unlimited opportunities to be able to reach out. And I think that's one of actually the positive things that have come from the last couple of years, especially, as we're realizing how much we can actually do online to still contribute to the community. So there's opportunities for everybody.
For sure. Yes.
So you don't have to be a part of a big organization to ask for someone to come and help serve. It doesn't have to be a huge project. It can be a small project.
Yes. Yeah. I love the flexibility of JustServe because, of course, you have your traditional large nonprofits and faith and government organizations on there. But you also have smaller organizations that don't have the funds for advertising and volunteer management tools. And JustServe is a free tool that these smaller community initiatives are able to use. And I love its flexibility. And yeah.
That's great. So would you share with us an experience that you have seen through JustServe that has made a big difference in someone or in several people's lives?
Yeah, boy, there's just so many. I guess one thing I would point out is right on the JustServe website, we have success stories that are shared. And just every day, all over the world, we're seeing amazing things happening with JustServe. And I'm going to show you some local success stories that we've had in our area and in the Edmonton area. So one of the great things that's been happening as a JustServe project recently is to support people in the inner city. So here's a great success story from the Edmonton area that people from all around Edmonton have been participating in. COVID is awful, obviously, and we've all been going through a lot. But I like to think most of all of the homeless population. When they have COVID symptoms, what do? Where do they isolate? Who takes care of their really complex needs? And one of these organizations is the Boyle McCauley Health Center, and they've been tasked with creating a safe place for the homeless people to be able to recover during the pandemic. And one of the projects on JustServe is to provide books, kind notes of encouragement, clothing, and other such items to these people who are isolating during the pandemic, who don't have anywhere else to go. And the response from the community has just been huge. People have been so willing to step up and to support our community members who have nowhere else to go. Another great initiative that we've seen during the pandemic, this one, like I said, there's so many different ways you can help out in the community. The Good Samaritan provided us with an opportunity for community members to send in notes and cards to their seniors in their facilities. And I have had an overwhelming response from so many families and children and individuals who have wanted to show love and concern during this time. Here's just one example. We had a principal reach out to us from Horse Hill School in Edmonton, and they made this a project that their kids worked on. And when I spoke with the facilitators at the Good Samaritan, she said that the seniors to this day still have these notes and cards on their dressers. Just two examples of some wonderful, wonderful things that are happening with JustServe, and so many more as well that people can find out about. So.
Wow, that's really cool. And it's cool to see all of the things that are happening right here in our local area, most of which I admit I don't even think I was aware of. So it's cool to be able to know where that website is and have that as a resource, and perhaps find ways that we can, as a family, as a congregation, as a community, be more involved. Let me ask you this, Sarah. Why? It's very clear you're passionate about this. You do so well at this. You're doing tremendous work in your responsibilities as the JustServe specialist. Why do you feel service is so important?
Well, I guess I can't answer that question without going to my Christian roots. And the secret to a happy life was taught by Jesus Christ. And when he said, whosoever shall lose his life will save it. And we know that he went about doing good. And for me, focusing on others, it broadens my view, and it kind of lifts me from this stew of worry and of my daily grind. And it really helps me to look beyond and have perspective. And I find when I'm serving, I do gain more insights into my own difficulties. And I mean, from a secular standpoint, there's such a large body of research that shows the benefits of volunteerism. So whether we put faith into it or not, volunteerism, it improves psychological well-being, and just apart from the people in the community it serves.
Yeah. It's funny you bring that up too. I think of so many things, specifically about the Savior. He was the perfect example. He is the perfect example. And everything he embodies is service, giving selflessly to help lift others. And so, you know, I love that you bring that up. And it also makes me think about how you had mentioned mental well-being. Service can lead to more gratitude, and gratitude actually you know, there's a whole lot of studies that are out there that people can read about how gratitude actually has a physical impact in shifting the way that we see the world, the lens by which we see the world, and the abundance that we can see. And so I think that's really tremendous that you tie both the spiritual and physical into the narrative of service.
You know, this just makes me think about what I've heard in the past about happiness. When people are not happy, sometimes they need to start looking outside of themselves and start doing service. And then that is when they start to feel that peace and happiness within themselves. So we are about to come up to this National Volunteer Week in Canada. And with that in our near future, and with the rest of time, where do you see this program going? How can people get involved? And how is this going to expand? Tell me all about that.
Well, I guess for me, it's really simple, the path forward. I would just love people to know about JustServe and visit the website, see what's on there, see what can benefit people in their community. And my view for the future is that the community, when somebody thinks, how can I help? They go to JustServe.org, and they have it beautifully laid out for them, all of the different ways they can help, and match it to their availability and interest. And my view for JustServe is that there'll be something for everybody on there. For me, as a mom with young kids, I've traditionally thought of volunteerism as, police record check, minimum 1 year participation, no kids under the age of 14. And that's just not the case. And we have a little kids community service club. Here's some pictures of some of the projects we've done. Simple things, brushing horses, picking up garbage, planting a tree. There's so many different ways to get involved. And my view coming into Volunteer Week is that everybody will visit JustServe.org and find one small way that they can give back, and just feel that great peace and joy that comes from giving back. And especially during these challenging times, we can all use a little bit of more peace and more help with some of the negativity and difficulty going around. Let's reach out and lift some others around us.
That sounds
So amazing.
sounds great. Yeah, I hope everyone will log on, register on the JustServe.org site. We look forward to becoming more active on this site ourselves, and we encourage all our viewers to check it out, www.justserve.org.
Thanks, Sarah. We're so glad that you could join us today.
Thanks
For having me.